Chapter 18. The men took me to the fifth heaven and placed me there, and I saw many and countless soldiers, called Grigori, of human appearance. And they were larger than the greatest giants, and their faces were downcast, and the silence of their mouths perpetual. And there was no service in the fifth heaven. And I said to the men who were with me, Why are they so downcast, and their faces melancholy, their mouths silent? And why is there no service in this heaven? They said to me, These are the Grigori, who with their prince Satan rejected the Lord of light, and behind them are those who are kept in the great darkness of the second heaven. And 3 of them went down to the earth from the throne of the Lord to Hermon, and broke their vows on the slopes of Mount Hermon, and saw how beautiful the daughters of men were, and took them as wives, and defiled the world with their deeds. And during the whole time of their stay they committed lawlessness and promiscuity. And giants were born, and impressive great men, and great enmities, and therefore God judged them with a great judgment, and they wept for their brothers, and they shall be punished on the great day of the Lord. And I said to the Grigori, I have seen your brothers and their deeds and their great torments, and I prayed for them, but the Lord condemned them to remain beneath the earth until heaven and earth come to an end. And I said, For what reason do you wait, brothers, and not serve before the face of the Lord? And why have you not presented your service before the face of the Lord, so that the Lord might not become so greatly angered? And they heard my admonitions, and spoke to the 4 orders of heaven. And behold, while I was with these 2 men, 4 trumpets sounded together very loudly, and the Grigori burst forth into a unified hymn, and their voices rose to the Lord full of mercy and affection. Chapter 19. And then those men took me and placed me in the 6th heaven, and there were 7 groups of angels, very bright and glorious, and their faces shone brighter than the shining sun, and there were no differences in their faces, behavior, or manner of dress. And they carry out the orders and learn the movement of the stars, the changes of the moon, or the revolution of the sun, and the good government of the world. And when they see evil things, they carry out commandments and give instructions and sweet and loud songs, and all are songs of praise. These are the archangels, who are above the angels, and they evaluate all life in heaven and on earth, and the angels who are appointed over the seasons of the year. The angels who care for the rivers and the seas, and those who care for the fruits of the earth, and those who care for all vegetation, providing food for all, and the angels who record all the souls of men and all their deeds and all their lives before the face of the Lord. Among them are 6 phoenixes and 6 cherubim and 6 with 6 wings, continually with one singing voice. And it is impossible to describe their songs and their rejoicing before the Lord, at the feet of the Lord. Chapter 20. And those 2 men led me to the 7th heaven, and there I saw a great light and the flaming hosts of the great archangels, incorporeal armies, dominions, orders, and governments, cherubim and seraphim, thrones, and some of many eyes, 9 regiments, the shining stations of light. And I was afraid, and I began to tremble with great terror. And those men took me and led me and said to me, Take courage, Enoch, do not fear. And they showed me the Lord from afar, seated upon his very high throne. For what can there be in the 10th heaven if the Lord dwells here? In the 10th, heaven is God. In the Hebrew tongue he is called Aravat. And all the heavenly hosts would come and stand on the 10 steps, according to their rank, and would bow before the Lord and again return to their places in joy and happiness, singing songs in the limitless light with gentle voices, serving him with glory. Chapter 21. And the cherubim and seraphim who were near the throne, those with 6 wings and many eyes, did not depart from the face of the Lord, doing his will and surrounding his throne, singing with sweet voices before the face of the Lord. Holy, 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 sovereign Lord of hosts, heaven and earth are full of thy glory. When I saw these things, those men said to me, Enoch, we were commanded to travel this far with you, and those men departed, and I saw them no more. And I remained alone at the end of the seventh heaven, and I was afraid and fell with my face to the ground and said to myself, Woe is me, what shall become of me? And the Lord sent to me one of his glorious ones, the archangel Gabriel, and he said to me, Take courage, Enoch, do not fear, stand before the face of the Lord forever, arise and come with me. And I answered him and said to myself, My Lord, my soul departed from me because of terror and trembling, and I called for the men who had led me to that place, for I had trusted in them, and with them I stood before the face of the Lord. And Gabriel took me like a leaf caught by the wind, and placed me before the face of the Lord. And I saw the eighth heaven, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Mazaroth, constellations, which changes the seasons, the drought and the moisture, and the 12 constellations of the circle of the firmament which is above the seventh heaven. And I saw the ninth heaven, which is called in Hebrew Kuchavim, where the divine houses of the 12 constellations of the circle of the firmament are. Chapter 22. In the 10th heaven, Aravoth, I saw what the face of the Lord was like iron burning in the fire, and which, when brought out, emits sparks and burns. Thus I saw the face of the Lord, but the face of the Lord is ineffable, wonderful, and exceedingly exalted, and exceedingly terrible. And who am I to speak about the inexpressible being of the Lord, and his magnificent face? And I cannot recount the number of his many instructions and various voices. The very great throne of the Lord, which was not made by hands, nor the number of those who surround him, hosts of cherubim and seraphim, nor their unceasing songs, nor their unchanging beauty, and who can speak of the greatness of his glory. And I bowed down and worshipped the Lord, and the Lord with his lips said to me, Take courage, Enoch. Do not fear, stand before my face forever. The archangel Michael arose, and led me before the face of the Lord. And the Lord said to his servants, testing them, Let Enoch stand before my face forever. And the glorious ones bowed before the Lord and said, Let Enoch go according to thy word. And the Lord said to Michael, Go and strip Enoch of his earthly garments, and anoint him with my sweet balm, and clothe him with the garments of my glory. And Michael did so, just as the Lord had commanded him. He anointed me, clothed me, and the appearance of that balm is greater than the great light. It is like sweet dew, and its fragrance gentle, shining like a sunbeam, and I looked at myself, and I was like one of his glorious ones. And the Lord summoned one of his archangels called Pravuil, stronger in wisdom than any other archangel, who had written all the works of the Lord, and the Lord said to Pravuil, Bring those books from my storehouses and a swift-writing pen, and give them to Enoch, and charge him with the selection of the books. Chapter 23. And he spoke to me about all the works of heaven, earth, and sea, and all the elements, their passages and courses, and the tremendous noise of thunder, the sun and the moon, the courses and changes of the stars, of the seasons, years, days, and hours, how the winds are formed, the number of the angels and the composition of their songs, and all human things, the language of every song and human life, the commandments, instructions, and sweet songs, and all things that are made to be learned. And Pravuil said to me, All the things that I have told you, we have them in writing. Sit down and record all the souls of humanity, though many of them have already been born, and the places prepared for them in eternity. For all souls are prepared for eternity, even before the formation of the world. And everything was repeated for 30 days and 30 nights, and I wrote all things accurately, and I wrote 366 books. Chapter 24. And the Lord called me and said to me, Enoch, sit at my left hand with Gabriel. And I bowed before the Lord, and the Lord spoke to me. Enoch, beloved, everything that you see already prepared, I tell you that it already existed before the beginning, for I created all these things out of non-being, the visible things from the invisible. Hear, Enoch, and accept my words, for I did not tell my secrets even to my angels, nor did I tell them of their origin, nor did I speak to them of my infinite kingdom. nor did they understand my act of creation, which today I tell to you. Chapter 25. In the lowest regions I commanded that visible things should come down from the invisible, and Adoil came down very great. I looked at him, and he had a belly of great light. And I said to him, Break apart, Adoil, and let the visible come forth from you. And he broke apart, and a great light came forth from him. And I was in the midst of the great light. And as light is born from light, a great age came into being, and it revealed all creation which I had conceived to create. And I saw that it was good. And I set a throne for myself, and sat upon it, and said to the light, Go higher and establish yourself above the throne, be a beginning for the higher things. And there is nothing above the light. And there I bowed down and looked from my throne. Chapter 26. And I called the lowest for the second time, and said, Let Archas come forth with power from the invisible. And Archas came forth, hard, heavy, and very red. And I said, Open yourself, Archas, and let something be born from you. And there came forth unfinished. An age came forth, very great and very dark, bearing the creation of all the lower things. And I saw that it was good, and said to it, Go down and establish yourself, become the foundation of the lower things. And it came to pass that it descended and established itself, and became the foundation of the lower things. And beneath the darkness there is nothing more. Chapter 27. And I commanded that it be taken from the light and the darkness, and said, Become thick, and so it was, and I spread it with the light, and it became water, and I spread it in the darkness, beneath the light, and I made the waters solid. I made them bottomless, having light as their foundation. And I created 7 circles from within, and I made the water resemble moist and dry crystal, like glass, and I formed a circle of waters and other elements, and I showed each of them its path, and ordained the movement of each of the 7 stars in its heaven. And I saw that this was good. I separated the light from the darkness. And I said to the light that it would be day and the darkness night, and there was evening and morning on the first day. Chapter 28. Then I made the heavenly circle solid, and commanded the waters that were beneath the heaven to gather together in one place, into one whole, and that the chaos should become dry, and so it was done. From the waves I created great and solid stones, and from the stone I gathered the dry land, and I called the dry land earth, and the center of the earth I called the abyss, that is, the bottomless. I gathered the seas into one place, and bound them with a chain, and I said to the sea, See, here are your eternal boundaries, and you shall not free yourself from your constituent parts. And thus I quickly created the firmament. This day I myself called the first created Sunday. Chapter 29. For all the heavenly hosts I conceived the image and essence of fire, and my gaze looked upon the very hard stone, and from the flash of my gaze lightning received its marvelous nature, which is both fire in water and water in fire. The water does not quench the fire, nor does the fire dry up the water, yet lightning is more luminous than the sun, gentler than water and firmer than stone. And from the stone I drew forth a great fire, with which I created the orders of 10 hosts of incorporeal angels. And their weapons are of fire, and their garments a burning flame, and I commanded each one to stand in his place. And one of the angels, having departed from his hierarchy, and turned aside to a hierarchy below his own, conceived an impossible thought, to place his throne above the clouds that are over the earth, so that his power might become equal to mine. I cast him down from on high with his angels, and he began to fly above the abyss continually. Chapter 30. On the 3rd day I commanded the earth to produce great fruit-bearing trees and mountains and seeds for sowing. And I planted paradise and surrounded it with armed guardians, like flaming angels. And in this way I created renewal. And evening came, and from the morning the 4th day was made. On this day I commanded that great luminaries be made in the heavenly circles. In the highest circle I placed the star Chrono. In the second circle I placed Aphrodite, in the third Ares, in the fourth the Sun, in the fifth Zeus, in the sixth Hermes, in the seventh the moon adorned with the lesser stars. And in the lower circle I placed the sun to give light to the day, and the moon and the stars to give light to the night, and so that the sun might move according to each animal of the zodiac. I decreed the succession of 12 months with their names and duration, their thunders, their time markings, and their sequence. And from the evening and the morning the 5th day was made. On the 5th day I commanded the sea to produce fish, and I created feathered birds of many kinds and all the animals that creep upon the earth, the 4-footed ones that walk upon the earth, and I created those animals that take flight, both male and female, and every soul breathing the spirit of life. And from the evening and the morning the 6th day was made. On the 6th day I used my wisdom to create man from 7 degrees of density. 1, his flesh from the earth. 2, his blood from the dew. 3, his eyes from the sun. 4, his bones from the stone. 5, his intelligence from the vitality of the angels and of the cloud. 6, his veins and his hair from the plants of the earth. 7, his soul from my breath and from the wind. And I gave him 7 natures: the flesh for hearing, the eyes for sight, the soul for smell, the blood for touch, the bones for endurance, and the intelligence for sweetness and rejoicing. I formulated an appropriate maxim. I created man from the invisible and visible nature. From both come his death, his life and image. He knows the power of speech as something created, small in greatness and great in smallness. And I placed upon the earth a second angel, noble, great, and glorious. And I appointed him ruler on the earth, that he might possess my wisdom. And there was no one equal to him among all existing creatures. I gave him a name based on the 4 component parts from the east, west, south, and north. And I assigned to him 4 special stars. And I called him by the name Adam, and showed him the 2 ways, that of light and that of darkness. And I said to him, "This is good, and that is evil," that I might know whether he nurtures love or hatred for me, that I might know who among his people loves me. For I know his nature, but he himself did not perceive it. Therefore, because he did not perceive it, he will sin more. And I said, "Beyond sin, what is there except death?" I caused a deep sleep to come upon him, and he slept. I took one of his ribs, and with it I created a woman, so that death might come to him through this woman of his. And I took his last word and gave her the name Mother of all living, that is, Eve. Chapter 31. Adam shall live upon the earth, and I created a garden in Eden in the east, that he might fulfill the testament and keep the order. I caused the heavens to open before him, so that he might see the angels singing the hymn of victory and the shining light. He remained in paradise, and the devil understood that I intended to create another world, because Adam was Lord of the earth, to command it and control it. The devil is the evil spirit of the lower regions. As a fugitive, he created Satona from the heavens, because his name was Satan. Therefore he became different from the angels, but his nature did not alter his understanding regarding the knowledge of right and wrong. And he understood his condemnation and the sin he had committed. For that reason he harbored resentment against Adam, in such a way that he entered his world and seduced Eve, but did not reach Adam. I cursed ignorance, but what I had previously blessed, that I did not curse. Nor did I curse man, nor the earth, nor the other creatures, but the fruit and the evil works of man. Chapter 32. I said to him, "You are earth, and to the earth from which I took you, you shall return. I will not destroy you, but will return you to where I took you from. Then I shall be able to take you back at my second coming." And I blessed all my creatures, visible and invisible. And Adam had been in paradise for 5.5 hours. I blessed the 7th day, the Sabbath, when I rested from all my works. Chapter 33. And I appointed the 8th day as the first day created after my work, and the first 7 as cycles of 7,000, and at the beginning of the 8,000 I established a time uncountable, infinite, not measured by years, months, weeks, days, or hours. And now, Enoch, all the things of which I have spoken to you, everything that you have understood, everything that you have seen of the heavenly things, everything that you have seen on the earth, and all the things that you have written in this book through my great wisdom. All these things I conceived and created from the highest to the lowest. And here there is no counselor or heir of my creations. I am eternal, and not made by hands, and without change. My thought is my counselor. My wisdom and my word are accomplished. And my eyes observe all things as they are here, and how they tremble with terror. If I turn my face away, then all things shall be destroyed. Therefore use your understanding, Enoch. Know him who speaks to you, and take care of the books you have written. I give you the angels Suriel and Regal, those who brought you to me and descend to the earth. Tell your sons all the things that I have told you, and everything that you have seen, from the lowest heaven up to my throne here above, and all the hosts. For I created all powers, and none opposes or fails to submit to me. All submit to my authority, and obey my power, and work under my command. Give them the manuscripts, and they shall read them, and shall know that I am the Creator of all things, and they shall understand that there is no other God besides me. And let them distribute your manuscripts from son to son, from generation to generation, from race to race. And I shall give you Enoch, my mediator, the archangel Michael, for the manuscripts of your fathers Adam and Seth, Enos, Kenan, Mahalalel, and Jard, your father, shall not be destroyed until the end of time. I revealed to my angels Drioch and Marioch how I mapped the earth, and commanded that the generations be preserved, and that the manuscripts of your fathers be preserved, so that they might not perish in the flood which I shall bring upon men. Chapter 34. They rejected my commandments and my yoke, thus becoming worthless seed, not fearing God, not reverencing me, but bowing their heads to vain gods, and they denied my unity, and filled the earth with lies, offenses, abominable lusts, namely with one another, and every kind of filthy wickedness, which would be unpleasant to name. And because of this I shall bring a flood upon the earth, and destroy all men, and the whole earth shall succumb to darkness.